Hello, today we are going to be looking at colons and semicolons. Okay, so let's get straight into it. All right, let's start off with colons. So, firstly, just, quite importantly, actually, let's just make sure that we understand what a colon actually looks like. It's one full stop on top of another, isn't it? Yeah. Hopefully, you can find that on your keyboard. If you can, it'd be great if you could send it to me. But if you can't, don't worry too much about it. As long as you can sort of write it in real life on paper, that's what matters. But yeah, one full stop on top of the other. That's it. I can see some of you sending it to me. Awesome. All right. So, what does a colon do? When do we use a colon? Okay. So a colon. We're going to talk about two reasons for the colon. The first one, it explains the opening clause. Don't worry about what that means just yet. Okay. But that's reason one. It explains the opening clause, and the second thing it does is introduce lists. Okay, so we've got some examples on the screen. So let's start by taking a look at it explains the opening clause. So let's look at the red sentences. All right, so take a look at this one. It says there was only one option, colon, leave immediately. So can you see, in fact, let me ask you, Annabelle, how is that example explaining the opening clause? What do I mean by that?
There was only one option, leave immediately. Um, I don't really know. Can you come back to me?
Hold on, Annabelle. I think take a look at what this says. How does it relate to that?
Leave.
The second part says leave immediately. How does it relate to the first part?
Because it says only one option, which is leave immediately.
Yeah, it's explaining the opening clause. Perfect. It's elaborating. It's giving more information about the opening clause. So the opening clause is there was only one option, and the second part explains that first part. There was only one option, leave immediately. And you'll also notice that it's not a full sentence, is it? Like this part is not a complete sentence. All right. And it doesn't begin with a capital letter. Okay, so we don't give this second part of the sentence here a capital letter. All right. Then take a look at the next part. It says, sorry, not the next part. The next example says he had a clear message: never give up. He had a clear message: never give up. Kiva, can you talk about that sentence? What does the second part do to the first part?
Mm,
He had a clear message: never give up. What is that second part? How does it relate to the first part?
mm,
Think about it, Kiva. Look, it says he had a clear message: never give up. What has this part got to do with the first part?
mm. I'm not too
All
sure.
right, no problem, Kiva. Let me ask someone else. Scarlett, what does the second part do to the first part here? He had a clear message: never give up.
Um, so what the semicolon is there for is because never
Colon.
give up, I mean colon, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, never give up was the clear message, and the clear message was never give up.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. So
It
it starts off by saying he had a clear message, and then it explains it. It gives more information about the opening clause. So he had a clear message: never give up. So here's the first part, and then we're going to explain it a bit. Yeah. He had a clear message: never give up. Now the second way of using the colon is to introduce lists. Those are the yellow sentences, right? So she bought three things, colon, and here's our list of things. She bought three things: bread, milk, and eggs. And that's our list. Okay? Let me say that one more time. She bought three things, then we've got the colon, and then we have a list of items. She bought three things, colon, bread, milk, and eggs. And the bottom example says The recipe requires 3 basic ingredients, colon, flour, eggs, and salt. So, once again, we are introducing the list. So we've got a colon here, and following on from that colon, we have our list of things, yeah? All right, so those are the 2 uses of colons. Let's go to the next slide. And you can see there's a picture on the screen, okay? And I've written 2 sentences about this picture. One colon explaining the opening clause, and the other example is introducing a list, all right? So, firstly, let me read both sentences. The first sentence says, the family moved into a beautiful new house, a 5-bedroom house in Kent. And the next sentence says, the family had just a few things left to do. Unpack the boxes, pay the driver, and order pizza. Okay, Ava, why do we have a colon in the top sentence, the red sentence? What's it doing there?
Explains the opening clause.
Perfect. How does it explain the opening clause?
Um, by like where the new information goes.
Yeah, so what is the second clause doing to the first clause?
Adding on.
Yeah, it's adding on to it. It's giving more information about it. Perfect. So the first part says, the family moved into a beautiful new house. And then the second part gives a bit more information and explains the opening clause. The family moved into a beautiful new house, colon, a 5-bedroom house in Kent. So this second part alone isn't a complete sentence. A 5-bedroom house in Kent isn't a complete sentence, okay? It's part of the entire sentence, isn't it? Right? And once again, just notice that it doesn't have a capital letter. And then the next example, the family had just a few things left to do. Unpack the boxes, pay the driver, and order pizza. Himank, why is there a colon in that yellow sentence?
There's a colon in the yellow sentence because it's a list. The family had just a few things left to do. The they're like 2 points because they're telling what they are. Unpack the box, pay the deliver, and order pizza. It's like a list.
Perfect. We use those colons because the sentence introduces a list. The family had just a few things left to do. Here's my colon. And here's the list of things they have to do. Unpack the boxes, pay the driver, and order pizza. All right, your turn, guys. So, I've got a new picture up on the screen. I've written 2 sentences about it. I'll quickly read them and then you have a task, right? So the first sentence I wrote is, she painted a picture, a caricature of her good friend John. Does anyone know what a caricature is? Let me ask a couple of people. Lucas, do you know what a caricature is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
What it is basically someone is standing there and you paint a photo of them.
Yeah, so you paint is when you paint a picture of someone or draw a picture of someone, but you kind of exaggerate it so it looks a bit funny. So you can see that his ears and his nose are much larger than his face, just to give it that a bit of humour. Awesome. Okay, so my sentence, she painted a picture, and then I explained the first clause. She painted a picture, a caricature of her good friend John. And the second sentence that I wrote introduces a list. It requires the following to become a great artist. And here's my list. Patience, determination, and a good eye for detail. So, your task, guys, in the chat box, could you write a sentence about that picture using a colon? You can either use a colon, which explains the opening clause, or you can use a colon to introduce a list. So give it a go, guys, and I'll speak to you again in about 1 minute. Okay, let me take a look at some of your sentences. Perfect, Ava. Well done, Arinoki, but just remember there's no capital letter after the colon, but good. Well done, Oscar. Scarlett, that's a bonkers sentence. But you've used a colon, I suppose. All right, 20 seconds. Well done, Lucas. You want me to read it? Scarlett wrote, Mr. O paid to get himself a painting of himself, but in caricature style. It cost him 1 Scarlett, 1 Ava, 1 Annabelle, and 1 Alexa. It's a bargain. Well done, Thomas. Well done, Florence. Well done, Ragnar. Well done, Himak. Well done, George. All right. Fantastic. Well done, guys. It looks like we are we've picked this up pretty quickly, so very, very, very good. Very good indeed. All right, let's move on. So now we're going to talk about the semicolon. Now they've got very similar names, right? It's colon and semicolon, and they also look very similar, except take a look at semicolon. There is a difference. So we have a full stop, but this time we have a comma underneath. Yeah. If you can see that in your keyboard and send it, that'd be great. If you can't, don't worry too much, as long as you can, write it in real life. But let's talk about the difference between them and their functions, okay? Now, the semicolon really only has one function rather than two, so it's a little bit easier. Let's talk about it. So, a semicolon joins two independent clauses that closely relate. Don't be scared of two independent clauses. Don't worry about that. I know it sounds a bit tricky. All that means it's like two standalone sentences that have been joined together. Two sentences that make sense on their own. Okay, that's all an independent clause is. Yeah, think of them as just sentences that make sense on their own, but they've been joined together to make one sentence. Okay, but they must relate. The sentences must relate. Okay, so here's 3 examples. First example says, he had studied all week. He felt confident for the test. So you can see in that example, this part of the sentence makes sense all by itself, and this part of the sentence makes sense all by itself. Yeah, if we read those sentences alone, they're complete sentences, but we've joined them together using a semicolon because they relate. Because he was studying and he has a test, so they relate to each other. And the next one says, Dad's favourite meal was lasagna. I made it for his birthday. So once again, we've got 2 sentences that make sense all by themselves. So Dad's favourite meal is lasagna. That makes sense all by itself. I made it for his birthday. That makes sense all by itself. It's contextless. If I said I made it for his birthday, there's no context, but there is, because it's part of the other clause, isn't it? Yeah. So grammatically it makes sense all by itself. And the final one, I really enjoy going to the cinema. My sister prefers going bowling. So again, I really enjoy going to the cinema, makes sense all by itself. And my sister prefers going bowling, makes sense all by itself. But they relate, so I've joined them together. Now notice that we do not use capital letters here either. So after the semicolon, we don't use capital letters. We do have a capital letter here. Why do we have a capital letter there, do you reckon? Let me ask Ragnar. Ragnar, why have I broken the rule right here?
You have broken a rule because it's technically a start of a sentence.
But so are the others.
Because the word I is supposed to be a capital letter.
Yes, perfect. I is a personal pronoun and it always has a capital letter. Yeah? So I haven't really broken the rules. We don't put capital letters after semicolons, but if this were like a proper noun like London, England, or a name, any word that usually has a capital letter is still going to keep its capital letter. That doesn't change, okay? But words that don't usually have a capital letter, we don't give them one, okay? All right, so here's a picture. It says, the cat and dog played chase in the garden. The cat's speed was just a little too much for the dog. So once again, I've got two independent clauses. I can't call them independent sentences because it's only one sentence, isn't it? The whole thing's only one sentence. So I can't say I've got two sentences here. I don't. I have one. But they're kind of like two sentences because the first one says, the cat and dog played chase in the garden. That makes sense all by itself. And the cat's speed was just a little too much for the dog. That makes sense all by itself. So it does appear like there are two sentences, but because they're joined together using a semicolon, they are independent clauses, okay? And they relate to each other. We've got the cat and dog playing chase, and the cat's speed was too much for the dog, so they relate to each other. So that's when we use a semicolon, when the two clauses stand alone and make sense all by themselves, and they relate to each other, okay? So I've written one more sentence, and you've got a task coming up, so let me quickly read this one to you. It says, the twins have nearly created the world's largest sandcastle. They are now just applying the finishing touches. So once again, both clauses relate. The twins have nearly created the world's largest sandcastle. That relates to, they are now just applying the finishing touches. Yeah, they both relate. They're both talking about the idea of building a sandcastle. But we connect them together. They're both independent clauses, and we join them using a semicolon, okay? And once again, just notice that there's no capital letter after the semicolon. So I think you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Could you write a sentence about this picture using a semicolon? Well done, Lucas. That's really good. Well done, Scarlett. Just remember, guys, that both clauses, both sides of the semicolon must make sense all by themselves. They must make grammatical sense and have that subject and that verb. Yeah. So just if you reread your sentence and one clause doesn't make sense all by itself, it's probably it isn't correct. Annabelle and Scarlett have almost broken the world record. They hope Ava doesn't destroy their sandcastle again. Perfect. Good. Both independent clauses, both relate. No capital letter. Perfect. The twins created a sandcastle with their dad. The sandcastle was impeccable and done thoroughly. Good. Very good. Hemak, that's a list. That's the other colon. So when we're writing a list, we use the colon, not the semicolon. Yeah. Well done, George. That makes perfect sense. Well done, Thomas. If you wrote, after 127 days, Mr. O's children won the sandcastle building competition, that first clause, after 127 days, doesn't make sense all by itself. Perfect. Good edit. Well done. That's much better. That's alright, Florence. That's alright. At least you can use it. Don't worry if you haven't written a sentence about the picture. You've proven you can use it, which is brilliant. Very good, Jordan. All right. Well done, guys. Okay, so here are some sentences, and we need to decide whether we should be using a semicolon or a colon. So I've put gaps, I've put spaces in each sentence, and we need to insert either a colon or a semicolon into that space, okay? So let's do one at a time, and you can let me know in the chat box which should go in there. So put the actual symbol, guys. Don't write colon or semicolon. That will take you too long. So either send me a colon or a semicolon, okay? So the first one says, he packed everything he needed. Clothes, snacks, and a map. Should that be a colon or a semicolon? What do you guys reckon? Let me know. What do we put here? All right, the answer is a colon. We put a colon there because we're introducing the list. He packed everything he needed, and here's our list of things. Clothes, snacks, and a map. What about the second one? It was getting late. We decided to head home. What would I put in between those two? Ten seconds. Okay, for this one, we would put a semicolon. I apologise, that was not the best semicolon, is it? Let me try that again. 2 seconds, guys. Let's give that another go. Oh, it's even worse. It's a semicolon anyway. I'm sure you can appreciate how tricky it is to draw on the screen sometimes. It's a semicolon, guys. Let's look at number 3. She loves painting. Her brother prefers music. What would go in that gap? A colon or a semicolon? I'm going to type this next one in so it looks a bit neater. She loves painting. Her brother loves music. The answer would be... change the pen colour, 2 seconds. A semicolon. She loves painting. That's one clause. Independent, makes sense all by itself. Her brother prefers music. That makes sense all by itself. They are related. We connect them together using a semicolon. You will need the following. Something. A pen, paper, and a ruler. So, colon or semicolon, what do you reckon? You will need the following. Colon or semicolon. A pen, paper, and a ruler. Okay, the answer is colon. You will need the following, and here's my list of things. A pen, paper, and a ruler. Yeah, you will need the following. Colon. Introducing the list. A pen, paper, and a ruler. And finally, he had a simple plan. Work hard and stay focused. This one's I think this is the toughest one. I think this is the trickiest one so far. Really think about this one. The answer is actually a colon. Because it kind of looks like semicolon, doesn't it? Two independent clauses. But work hard and stay focused isn't really a complete sentence. And also, remember, this second clause is explaining the first clause. He had a simple plan. Well, what is the plan? Work hard and stay focused. So the second clause there is explaining the first, which we know is what a colon does. So well done if you got all those correct, and if you didn't, don't worry about it. Remember, all of these are recorded, so if you do need to go and watch it back or watch certain parts of this video, then please do that. But for the time being, can you just let me know in the chat box, give yourself a number out of 10, how do you feel about colons and semicolons?